CrossFit Open 19.4 is here, and I am Ben from WODprep. I'm gonna help you get your best score possible on CrossFit Open 19.4 and help you climb the leaderboard. If you are someone who's worried about getting those bar muscle ups done, or maybe you're someone in the scale division who's freaking out about having to do strict or normal RX pull-ups, this is the video for you. I'm gonna help you with those bar muscle ups and pull-ups, but first, let's talk about something. These opinions, these strategies that I'm gonna share with you today are WODprep's opinions and not CrossFit HQ's, so just know that we are not affiliated with CrossFit HQ in any way, shape, or form. Also, if you're someone who wants to really get down into the strategy and unlock all of the intricacies of a couple of these more complex movements like bar muscle ups and like the pull-ups that you have to do, then make sure you go to wodprep.com/open where you can download the complete CrossFit Open 19.4 strategy guide. We will actually send you bonus content throughout the weekend that's gonna help improve your score. I'm gonna have me and the rest of my coaching staff testing this to make sure that we help you get your best score possible. Also, if you haven't yet, make sure you mash that subscribe button because we are giving away a free CrossFit certification once we reach 100,000 subscribers, and that's all I have to say about that. All right, let's dig into this workout. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to break down each possible movement. So whether you're in the scale division, the masters division, the RX division, it doesn't matter which division you're in, I'm gonna systematically go through each one of the movements that are involved in this workout. And regardless of which division you're in, it starts with snatches. So there are a few key points that I want to mention for the snatches. Number one is that if you can cycle this barbell, you should probably go unbroken, keep your feet wide so that you don't have to move them during each rep. So as you might have seen in the announcement, people kept their feet wide, they grabbed the bar with the hook grip, so you saw everyone had their thumbs taped, so they grabbed the bar with the hook grip, they had their feet wide, and then they just cycled through reps. A lot of people are doing muscle snatches. Personally, I'm going to suggest power snatches. So this only applies to you, this whole go unbroken and keep your feet wide, this only applies to you if the weight for your division is very light. So for me, that's 95 pounds is pretty significantly under 50% of my 1 rep max. So I'm gonna be able to cycle through this no problem. Personally, I will be using power snatches instead of muscle snatches just because I think it's easier to cycle. If you're someone, on the other hand, where the weight for this workout is slightly heavier for you, so it's maybe 50, 60% or more, then I wouldn't suggest trying to go unbroken. Instead, I would suggest pulling it back a notch and actually maybe even going with something like quick singles. If you can get a barbell that's set up where you're not throwing it around, it's not bouncing around the gym too much, and you can cycle through controlled quick singles, you'll actually be able to move through these 10 reps and be able to push it really hard on the burpees. So depending on how strong you are, maybe you're somewhere right in the middle, you could potentially break it up into 6 reps, then 4 or 5 and 5, whatever you need to do to get through the snatches, but not be completely destroyed for the burpees. Another quick tip that I will suggest, especially if you're someone who's cycling multiple reps unbroken or doing all 10 unbroken, is to actually narrow your grip. So it's something that you might want to experiment with, but when I'm doing high rep, high volume, quick snatches, I like to bump in my hands an inch or two on each side. And what that allows me to do is it actually allows me to brush the bar up against my thighs rather than up in my hip crease, which can be painful if you miss. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. Girls probably know what I'm talking about too. So if you miss on a normal snatch, it can be painful and it can be kind of awkward and just not very controlled. What I do with these quick power snatches is I tend to move my hands in just a little, and the bar will actually kind of get catapulted up by my upper thigh quad area. So that's something to test out. Again, just try this in practice and see if it works for you. Next, let's talk about the burpees. When it comes to the bar facing burpees, it's pretty simple. You need to find a rhythm that works for you, and you need to move fast. There's really no way to go around this. You have to move fast on the burpees, but you can't move so fast that it causes you to burn out on the gymnastic movements or the snatch. So the key with the burpees, whether you're in the beginning or the end, is to find a delicate balance between redlining and conserving energy. You need to be somewhere in the middle. So for the burpees, I'm going to suggest just practicing your rhythm. The key is to make sure that you're never resting and you're always moving. So that could mean jumping down and jumping up and spinning over the bar. That could mean stepping down and stepping up. If you're someone who tends to move a little slower on the burpees, you could do the step up and step down. That is legal this year. Personally, the burpee cadence that I like to use is I like to jump down and step up. And when I step up, I kind of use that stepping up momentum to jump me over the bar. And then as I'm jumping, I do kind of like a half turn and then jump back down to the ground. So I'm gonna be pushing the pace on the burpees, and you should do the same. It doesn't matter which version of the burpee you use. What matters is that you stay consistent and you keep your rhythm. One tip that I will suggest here, as long as you can put the bar in the same place every time, I would actually mark where you're putting your hands for the burpees. So before the workout, take some chalk in your hands, ask your gym owner for permission. I used to be an affiliate owner and I know how dirty the floors get. Ask your gym for permission, chalk up your hands, and then kind of like put your hand marks on the ground. And what that's gonna do, as long as you keep your bar in the same place and you don't let it slide around the gym, if your bar's in the same place, you can literally aim your hands for those spots every single time. And that's gonna make sure that you don't hit your head on the bar. And it's also gonna make sure that you don't accidentally do a burpee that's way too far away from the bar. So keep the barbell in the same position, put your hand positioning in the perfect spot, and then every single time you're going down for that burpee, just get your hands on that chalk mark. Now it's time to talk about my favorite part of the workout. We're moving on to workout 2 of 19.4, and that is the gymnastics. So if you're in the scale division, it's pull-ups, real pull-ups. If it's the RX division, you're doing bar muscle ups. I'm actually gonna start with the scale division because I think that's where a lot of people are going to be struggling and maybe really frustrated. So first, let's talk about the pull-ups. When it comes to the pull-ups, the first thing I want you to think about, if you're in the scale division, I know a lot of people are complaining, I can't do pull-ups, that's why I'm in the scale division. What the heck? Why are you making me do pull-ups? So what I want you to do, what I'm gonna challenge you to do, is if you can't do a strict pull-up, it's time to focus and learn between now and the next Open. So the next Open comes in about 6 months, and here at WODprep, we are going to be launching a course that is going to help you learn these gymnastic movements. Teaching people gymnastic movements is something that we've done for the last 4 or 5 years. We've helped hundreds of people learn their first strict pull-up and learn their first bar muscle up. So if you're someone who's perpetually scaling your pull-ups, you can't do a pull-up, then I promise you it is going to be worth, after the Open, it's going to be worth it to invest in yourself and actually get some strict pull-up programming. If you can unlock strict pull-ups, it's going to unlock so many more movements in this sport of CrossFit, and I promise you it's going to be a valuable thing. But here and now, we need to talk about 19.4. So if you're someone who's like, Ben, I'm almost there, I can almost get a strict pull-up, or I can almost get my first pull-up, I have a confession. Personally, as a coach, I want you to get your first pull-up completely strict. No kipping. You should always learn pull-ups strict first. But that being said, I know that in gyms across America, there are going to be people trying to kip to get their first rep. So I'm not going to leave you hanging, and I will give you some suggestions. If you're trying to learn and you're trying to get your first pull-up ever so that you can get a rep in the second round of this workout, then here's what you need to do. You need to try what I'm calling the box drop-in method. It's a method that I've used to help people learn bar muscle ups, to get toes to bar. It works really well, and it is legal. So you can see here is he's standing up on a platform or up on a box, and he's using his momentum to swing him underneath the bar. He's getting full extension of his arms, and then after that swing, he uses that momentum, goes into an arch position, and then kips himself to get his chin above the bar. It's just like a normal kipping pull-up, except he's able to get a lot of extra momentum by jumping into the rep. If you jump in and get a little bit of a swing, a little bit of a kip, it's going to help you get your chin above the bar. If you're someone in the scale division that can maybe do a couple pull-ups, here's what I suggest. Go singles. You can still do that box drop-in, and it's going to make your reps more efficient. So if you're like, hey, I can do like a couple pull-ups on a good day, then absolutely, without question, go singles and do whatever you can to make each rep more efficient. So that could mean going from a lower bar than usual and hopping in to every single rep. This is called a hollow hop in, and it's where I'm just jumping in to my first kip and just exploding up and getting that single. Or you can do what I'm suggesting, which is go from a box and do the box drop in. That again is going to help you accumulate reps, and you're going to be able to do it more efficiently. If you're someone who can do big sets of unbroken pull-ups, but you've decided to go the scale division and not mess with bar muscle ups, then you might be able to get away with bigger sets. So if you can do 15 plus kipping pull-ups unbroken, then maybe you can do bigger sets in the workout. You could break it up 6 and 4, or you could do 7, 3, or heck, you might even be able to go 10 unbroken. But for the overwhelming majority of people, you should definitely have small sets, preferably singles, and do whatever you can to make those singles more efficient. And like I said, the box drop-in is a great method for that. Sorry for the interruption, but I have someone here to give you a special message. Alfred would like for you to hit the subscribe button down there. Isn't that right? Yes, it is. Alfred would like you to subscribe. For the Masters Division, I believe it's 55 plus. I know that you have chest to bar pull-ups. So for the chest to bar pull-ups, all of the same rules apply. Singles are going to be really good for a lot of people who, have less than 15 unbroken chest to bar in a row. Singles are going to be great because they're going to keep you moving, but you could also maybe break it up into smaller sets, something like 4, 3, 3, or 6 and 4, 7 and 3, whatever you can do to keep moving. The goal in this workout, as pretty much every workout, is no rest. There's a 3-minute rest built in there, so at all other times you should be moving. If you're someone in the scale division 55 plus that gets to do jumping chest to bar pull-ups, then I would highly suggest use your legs. Your legs are a lot stronger than your arms. Your rep cycle is going to be very, very fast. So hold on to the bar for dear life, use your legs, get your chin or chest to the bar, and keep moving. You shouldn't do singles if you're able to do the jumping chest to bar pull-ups. You should not be doing singles. You need to be doing them unbroken. And guess what? This workout's really gonna burn for you. And that's about all I have to say. Use your legs. Okay, now it's time to talk about the RX division. We're talking bar muscle-ups. First, I wanna address the people who can already do bar muscle-ups, and then for those who are anxiously waiting, I'll teach you how to get your first one. So for those of you who are in category 1, you're ready to crush bar muscle-ups, here's what I'd suggest. Break up your reps early. If you watch the announcement, we saw several people do sets of 10 unbroken. That's fantastic and great and everything, but they're CrossFit Games athletes. For the overwhelming majority of us, we need to break it up early and break it up often so that we can move fast on the burpees. The burpees are where a lot of people will be spending time. If you're someone who can proficiently do bar muscle ups, we need to have this delicate balance of always moving. So I know this is crazy, but for a lot of people, even if you can do sets of 7, 8, 9 bar muscle ups, it might be worth going singles with your bar muscle ups. If I can do a single, drop, shake it out, number 2, shake it out, number 3, shake it out, number 4. The accumulating reps and getting to 10 and allowing myself to keep moving is so much more valuable than doing, let's say, a set of 3 or 4 unbroken and then resting for 20 seconds. Okay? The key is to minimize rest. So whatever you can do, whatever rep scheme you can do to keep moving is what you need to do. Personally, I've done 20 unbroken bar muscle ups before, so I'm gonna start this workout probably with a 6-4 split. I'm gonna do 6 reps, shake it out, 4 reps, and then I'm gonna go really fast on the burpees because I know the limiting factor here is going to be how fast can I go on the burpees and still be able to hit big sets of unbroken bar muscle ups. If you're someone who maybe the most you've ever done is like 4 or 5 bar muscle ups unbroken, then absolutely without question you should do singles. And again, I mentioned it earlier, you should probably do the box drop-in. The box drop-in is a great way to make your bar muscle ups more efficiently. I personally won't be using it because it's kind of one of those things that it's just like, I don't need it. But if I was someone really trying to maximize my score, I'd honestly think about doing the box drop-in, or at the very least, making sure that for every single that I do what's called the hollow hop-in. And that's simply where I'm jumping into each rep. I'm utilizing some momentum from that jump to help me get the first rep, rather than jumping up to the bar, dangling for a couple seconds and trying to kip into my first rep. That's called the dead hang start. And just like we talked about for the toes to bar back earlier in this year's Open, the same thing applies for bar muscle ups. Do not start from a dead hang. Okay, let's talk about category 2 athletes. You are trying to make sure that you can finally get some bar muscle ups done in a workout. The box drop-in method is going to be your bread and butter. If you're someone who's on the fence about learning bar muscle ups, you have to utilize as much momentum as possible. So let's break this down into 3 major tips. Tip number 1, use the box drop-in to gather as much momentum as possible. Just make sure that if you do that, you cannot have your feet rise up above the bar. There's some coaches who tend to teach this glide kip thing where their feet actually go above the bar. It's a no rep and it's not allowed, so make sure you don't do that. Number 2 is you have to nail your transitions. We have several videos here on YouTube about the bar muscle up transition specifically, but I want you to focus on one key thing. draw an X in chalk on the floor in front of your bar muscle up bar. Every time you pop and pull yourself to the bar and you're about to transition, I want you to find that X. Okay, so I'm gonna actively look at the floor and try to find the X. So X marks the spot, that's what I'm looking for. If you do that, if you focus on sending your head through to find that spot that you marked on the floor, it's going to really help you with that transition. There's a ton of different analogies that I can use. If you have sunglasses, you're throwing your sunglasses off. If there's an imaginary sheet of glass in front of the bar, you're trying to break the glass with your head. If you're wearing a hat, you're trying to throw your hat off. There's a ton of different things that you can do. But ultimately, I like the cue that's find the spot, find the floor. So I'm looking up during the rep and then boom, I look down, and oftentimes just simply having that motion with my head will help me execute a nice quick turnover and finally get me above the bar. If you need more help with the turnover, make sure you consult all of the links below and the links in the comments to make sure that you can watch all of our other bar muscle up development videos. Tip number 3 for the bar muscle ups is to make sure you understand your grip. So there's a few nuances with the bar muscle up grip, but the major thing that you need to understand is your hands must slide around the bar. If you don't release your grip a little bit to let your hands slide around the bar, you will get no rep. You will not be able to get above the bar because you have what I call a death grip. Also, for those of you who tend to chicken wing, and I know a lot of people are going to be doing horrible chicken wings during this open, it pains me to see that. The reason you chicken wing is because you're death gripping with one arm and then letting the other one slide and go over. So if I'm death gripping with this arm and letting the other one slide, you really need to focus on releasing both grips at the same time so you can get both elbows and shoulders over the bar. So again, focus on those 3 main keys. Number 1, get as much momentum as possible using something like the box drop-in or hollow hop-in method. Number 2, you need to focus on your transition and make sure every transition counts using whichever analogy you want. I like X marks the spot on the floor. And then number 3, you have to be very conscious of your grip. Your hands must slide around the bar in order for you to do efficient bar muscle ups. All right, I hope that these tips help you. Ultimately, for the overwhelming majority of people watching this video, it's going to come down to either those scaled pull-ups or the bar muscle ups. That's where the crux of this workout happens. Guess what? If you have not been practicing your gymnastics, this is the time you're really going to pay for it, as if we didn't pay enough during 19.3. You must practice gymnastics, and that's something that WODprep will be doing just after the Open. We are going to have an incredible program that's going to help people finally knock down these weaknesses that have been holding them back. So if you haven't yet, make sure you smash the subscribe button, because once we hit 100,000 subscribers, we're doing a massive giveaway, and I'm giving away at least one level 1 certification where I'm gonna send you to a cert, and you're going to be able to fulfill your dreams of hopefully becoming a CrossFit coach, because that certainly changed my life. I hope that it's gonna change one of yours. Next, if you haven't yet, make sure you go to WODprep.com/open to get the complete strategy guide, where I'll include all of the links and all of the nuances to help you learn these things like pull-ups and to learn these things like bar muscle ups and all the other little tips and mindset strategy. We'll also include a free warm-up to go along with this workout, and I'll send out some tips later this weekend for those of you who are redoing the workout. So that's the last thing I have to say. Thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and I will see you in CrossFit Open 19.5. Peace.